What's up guys, it is I, once again, Yusuf Al-Sanad, and today guys, I want to talk about and review my favorite anime of all time, Berserk. And guys, I mentioned a long while back that I wanted to talk about Berserk in my update video, but that was a long time ago because at the time I had to rewatch Berserk again, and it's very hard to talk about this anime, especially one like Berserk, which I love to death, and get everything I love about it out of the way. And guys, this anime, Berserk, my history with it is very detailed. It came at a time to me when anime was still new to me. I started watching animes like Naruto, my first one ever, before Shippuden, and Bleach, and I've seen a few episodes of Dragon Ball. I didn't continue watching it though. And I saw Fullmetal Alchemist before Brotherhood. I saw a lot of animes at the time, including Elfen Lied. I was still getting into the genre or the medium. But when I saw Berserk, that was the moment when anime became not just an addiction, it became my passion. And that was the point when I started to get into anime so much, and there are still animes I want to catch up on. And guys, I've seen the movie trilogy. I'm excited for the upcoming new Berserk series they have this year. I'm excited for the remastered edition on the Blu-ray of the Berserk, the original anime. But here guys, I want to talk about this baby right here, Berserk. This anime, guys, is so incredible, and the story basically follows a young mercenary named Guts, or in the Japanese version, Gatsu, and he's wandering from battle to battle in search of not so much purpose, but he's fighting almost to test his own limit, to test himself and to see what he values out of life and why he needs to put his life on the line every single time he wields a sword. And his sword is like 3 times the size of an average sword. But one day during a siege at the castle where he takes down this giant knight named Basuso, he meets a band leader named Griffith, who is the head of the band of the Hawk, who he encounters when the band themselves attack Guts trying to loot his money. A few members gets killed, and after Guts' encounter with Griffith's second command, Casca, the only female soldier among the band, he gets taken down with ease by Griffith, and Griffith pleads with Guts to join him, the band. Guts refuses, and Griffith challenges him to a duel, and by the end Griffith won the duel, and Guts is forced to become a member of the band of the Hawk. And this is the point in the manga, which is this part of the manga is known as the Golden Age arc, after the Black Swordsman arc, in the later arcs to follow. This is the point where we see a different perspective to Guts and why he would become later known as the Black Swordsman, and why he carries such hatred and resentment for Griffith and what happens later on. And this arc takes place between Guts' origin to the very end, which is known as the Advent or the Eclipse. And a lot of things are set up in what might happen in the end. It's going to be so tragic and horrific. But in between, we get to see Griffith and the Guts' growth as friends, brothers, and much more than that. Griffith ensures Guts that he needs him as a soldier. He's valuable to him as nothing more than a tool. And he would even risk his own life to save Guts, if that means he can live, because this is so out of character for Griffith, who's known as a proud, very resourceful, intelligent, and very reasonable man, compared to Guts, who's very vicious, animalistic, and very unpredictable. And this infuriates Casca, who is so wanting and longing for Griffith's affection and attention, but that is being given to Guts, who is the most unlikely to get Griffith's attention. But for some reason, Guts almost like refusing to follow Griffith's command, or him challenging Griffith, that just adds a lot more hatred she bears towards Guts. And there's a lot of conflict going on in the show. There are a lot of themes, ideas dealt with, but from what I'm able to point out, the main theme is actually predetermination versus free will, which the narrator of the anime brings up every episode which begins. It starts off in a credit in the beginning with details of whether man is able to control his own will against the power of a god or something like that, and how he has to face his own destiny or fate. Now, this idea of predetermination versus free will is so interesting, guys, because I am a believer in God, and I am all about believing in God and all that, but when it comes to where I stand in life, where I die, where I don't die, I'm all about free will, and I'm about trying to challenge myself and try to do the best I can and to decide when I will live and die in my life. And this anime is all about that, predetermination versus free will. God represents the person of free will who's challenging his own fate, his own destiny, and how he does push himself to the limit, which might explain why he always tries to put his life on the line whenever he battles, whether 100 men or an enemy that's beyond him in size or in sheer power. God is always putting his life on the line, and he never found anything he values in life until he met the band of the Hawk. And Griffith he holds in high esteem like the other bands do. And their relationship spans like 3 years, in which the band goes from a simple mercenary band to a more of an army, and how they become part of Midland's war against Doldry, the enemy of Midland, and how Griffith aims to get the affection of the king's daughter, Charlotte. And from then on, the whole anime is a series of events that leads up to a finale which is so heartbreaking. And my god, guys, I think this anime 4 times. That ending still screws with my head. It's so insane, guys. This anime, it came to me at a time, like I mentioned, when anime was still new to me. And when I saw it, I was so engrossed in the story and all animes in general. I wanted to see more. And I will admit, guys, the ending is controversial for a lot of reasons. It's not just because it ends abruptly, but the way it ends abruptly is just, I can understand how they feel. They didn't see the after credits when Guts, I don't know, I don't say anything, but it's so insane how it ends, and when it ends at that point, it gets frustrating for fans, especially fans of the manga or the anime in general. But it does continue off from the Black Swordsman storyline, but I hope to God they continue with this story of Guts and his friends in the upcoming series, which is focusing on the Black Swordsman arc, and I can't wait for that story to continue. And Guts, this, guys, this show is just so incredible. I really do love it. I mean, the animation isn't really up to date. It's pretty dated. There are some lines, especially in the English dub, which is horrible. I watch the Japanese version all the time, but the show has a few faults and a lot of great things actually. It's like, you know, the movie trilogy. It has good and bad. This one has a lot more good than over the Berserk movie trilogy, but the movie does conclude with more closure in the end. It does give us a more satisfying end than this series does. But this series, what it does best is show us more detail in the bond between Griffith and Guts, and how Casca's hatred for Guts grows and grows, and until finally she opens up to him, and slowly their relationship builds. And guys, their bond is so natural and so fluid and just so organic in the way she goes from hating him to depending on Guts, eventually loving him. And that is one of the things I love about this anime so much. It's not just that it's natural in the way characters interact with each other. It's also about how not everything is black and white. There's no good guys or bad guys. There's like a gray line here where even the nobles, who are like sleazy bastards basically, they are doing what they're doing because they are either scared, desperate, or they're just feeling threatened by a presence, especially one as like Griffith, who's earning status among the nobles. And that is really something that I love about this anime is how it humanizes every character. Even the most sinister character you'd hate, you can understand where they're coming from, despite how ill their intentions are. But guys, this anime, the action is really cool, not as cool as the movie trilogy, but it does have what I love most of all, and that is heart, story, and characters I care about. You can give me all the action in the world, I won't care. But in this anime, it has all those, but most of all, it has heart and soul. And guys, I'm all about the story first and foremost. Animes, games, manga, hell, even like movies. I love story first and foremost. But the action here, it's what makes it so impactful is the way it questions what Guts is fighting for. I mean, why is he risking his life against 100 men? And by the end, guys, it changes him. Fighting 100 men is not so easy, but by the end, especially after 3 years he's been with the band The Hawk, he changes. He changes in so many ways, and how Griffith and Guts react to each other, especially what happened in the series, is just so incredible. I love how Casca, being the only female member among the band The Hawk, it does add a lot of challenge in her character. At the same time, she's not that kind of character who tries to be like a man. Instead, she does do things that guys would do, but she also embraces her own femininity, and that's the kind of female character I love in movies or television or animes. I hate when a female character is trying sort of to become a man. She has to try to embrace her own femininity while also trying to defend herself. And Casca has those two aspects to her. She's tough, strong, but vulnerable and very emotional. And she is, in the end, human. Like all the characters are human. But guys, Guts, I love him. Guys, no words can describe how much I love Guts. And if you watch the anime from the first episode to the very end, episode 25, guys, I don't normally say this about any character in any movie, television, anime, game. I don't like to say this word about any character, but for this rare occasion I will. Guts is a badass. Guys, I don't care how many times we see a character in movies or games or whatever overcome the odds and just come up on top. I don't think they're badasses. They're cool and awesome, but Guts is a badass. What he goes through, especially the very end, it's so... A lesser man would break down, or he would be shattered by what happens to him and his friends. But Guts, he is a true badass. He's the kind of person who reminds me so much of my brother, who reminds me so much of men I look up to, even women I look up to. Guts is the definition of a hero I hope to be like. It's not so much about fighting, but also about being able to challenge yourself and being able to... It's like the aspect of predetermination versus free will. Guts knows when he's going to die. He's not going to let any god or entity decide when he falls and when he rises. And that's the kind of character I love in any story in general. Gut is such an awesome character. The way he's able to fight so insanely, especially in battles where he is the underdog, and how he can keep coming back again and again and again, no matter how many times he gets his ass kicked. It's so incredible. And guys, this anime, there's so much to talk about, but this is going to be spoiler free. I don't want to go into any more detail, but this anime, guys, is a must watch. A must with capital watch. You have to watch this anime, guys. It's the anime that is my absolute favorite of all time, and it's the anime I will take to my dying grave. This is what I love about anime, and this is what I love about stories in general. I will always now love Naruto. I will always love Bleach. I will always love One Piece. Hell, I can watch Dragon Ball again if I can, but Berserk will always be the very best anime in my opinion. It's not just my favorite, I consider it the best anime ever, once again, in my personal opinion. And guys, please do watch this anime, please do watch it. And If you guys want to get a more detailed insight into the anime Berserk, I'll put a link down below in the description box, which is the link to a review done by Shintai Reviews and his friend in this channel known as the Anime Room. Shintai has two channels, Shintai Reviews and the Anime Room. In the Anime Room, he talked with his friend about in detail about Berserk, which is so incredible and much better than my review. And I think you guys will like it. It's about like 46 minutes long. But please watch it, and thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Until then, adios amigos, au revoir, and sayonara.